start. Let's start the discussion. Barrister Evans, of course, when this issue first came to bear, that's the issue of VAT, the controversy behind the whole thing. You know, it was the Rivers State governor that actually came out to give analysis of what actually transpired and why they wanted to go that way. And if you look at from what they have said, looking at the justification of what he has said, he said, for example, Lagos State actually paid a sum of 44 billion, but they got 9 billion. He said Rivers State paid 15 billion, they paid Rivers State 4 billion. Whereas Kano, one of the states that has the highest local government, paid 2.8. They have about 44 local governments. They paid 2.8 billion. They got 2.8 billion. So the government believes that this is not fair on the states. What's your take on this?
Well, consumption tax, or VAT as you call it, is location driven, okay? Ordinarily, if we have fiscal federalism, okay, we wouldn't be talking about this because the states will already be empowered by law to manage their own affairs and contribute to the center. Okay. But what we have is not fiscal federalism. What we have is more of a unitary system parading itself as federalism. VAT was introduced in Nigeria by Order 102, 1993, Decree 102 of 1993. As at that time was a military regime, okay? The military administration is more of a unitary system because it goes by fiat and command. Okay. So why it was being called sales tax at that time, and then in 1993 it was introduced. First of all, for backdate to history, VAT was first introduced by France. Okay, that is where most countries copied it from, and it's an indirect tax where certain goods are VATable, they are marked VATable. When you buy them, you pay a certain percentage. Before it used to be 5% in Nigeria. By the 2020 Finance Act, yes, it was increased to 7.5. And then in 2016, okay, the country came up with a calculation as to how VAT contributed 16.1% to the GDP. It is attractive. Now, having increased it to 7.5%, what they are generating from there is huge and massive. Now, by Section 40, subsection 1 of the VAT Act, it creates a situation of a sharing formula that the FRS will collect VAT, but at 15% will go to the federal government, and then you are going to have 50% to the states, and then 35% to the local governments. So that is the formula. Then there is a sub-sharing formula of 20% that will be shared based on derivation. Okay. Yeah. That is the higher the state that contribute higher will get a little higher. Now the contention of Rivers State is that when you look at the second schedule of the Constitution, okay, item 58, 59, that mention tax, capital gain tax and stamp duties, that is in the exclusive list, and that is where the federal government or the National Assembly can legislate on. It did not mention VAT, it did not mention any consumption tax. So the thrust of the argument of the Rivers State government is that the federal government have no competence under the law to legislate on VAT because the exclusive lists have no VAT mention.
Yes, it's unconcurrent.
Yes. So at the other hand, Section 4, subsection 7 of the 1999 Constitution, okay, empower the state to make the State House of Assembly to make laws of the good governance of the state. Okay. So it's on that trust that the court gave that judgment that the federal government cannot collect. With that decision, the VAT Act is declared illegal, technically. And then the Finance Act, that they will increase it from 5% to 7%, all that is illegal, okay, by the implication of that judgment. Now the Court of Appeal have said, okay, because FIS appeal, first of all, brought a motion to stay execution at the same court. The court declined. They cannot overrule itself. So that's the procedure of law. You now move to the Court of Appeal. So he went to the Court of Appeal and then filed a motion to stay execution of that judgment, and the court granted it. So as it is now, parties must maintain the status quo. And what is the status quo? The status quo will be that there's a contention on an issue, you are saying I should collect, this is the one saying he should collect, the court now says, okay, both parties should hold on, nobody should.
Okay.
Now the implication is what happens to consumers, and then the VAT
So they
regime.
will not pay now for the period that the case lasts.
Yeah, because the court is saying maintain status quo.
Okay.
And that is creating a lot of confusion here and there because both sides have been asked to stay action on the case.
Okay. Okay, Barrister James, I wanted to find out, because he said it, that was my next question, because this VAT is on the concurrent list, not on the exclusive. Now, I heard that from a very reliable source that the FIRS, they are pushing at the National Assembly to move this from the concurrent list to the exclusive list.
Yes, I heard that too, but it's not as easy as it is to make such, because you must go through the procedures of doing so, meaning that you must go to the states to, the states must agree. You know, you carry out what they call hearings.
Okay.
And so everybody that has interest in all these things must be heard. So the National Assembly cannot on its own just do that. They have to send out memorandums across the country to seek different states' position on that matter before it can move. But I must tell you something. It is clear that Lagos State government and the Rivers State government have passed that VAT Act into law.
Yes.
Now the law is from the House of Assembly. I am wondering whether that stay of execution can affect the laws that have been passed from the State House of Assembly, because it is an arm of government.
Yes.
And it is dictate. The court cannot stop houses of assembly from making laws. So now that they have passed this act into law in the state, can the ruling of the Court of Appeal stop a law that has been passed, that has gone through the requirements of the law by the State House of Assembly? Can that ruling stop the act that has been passed? Because as it were, the House of Assembly was not part of the suit.
Okay, because a colleague of yours actually dropped that on our platform. He was saying that since it's a state law passed by the State Assembly, just like you have said, that the court decision is not binding on those states.
That's what that's my opinion.
So, but what I'm saying is that now that it is now no more at the Federal High Court level, that's gone to the next stage, and the next stage says, okay, I want both parties to talk to me, let them address me.
The court
take decision on it.
The judiciary is an arm of government.
Okay.
The legislature is an arm of government.
I know that, yeah.
The executive is an arm of government. The court cannot stop the powers of the legislation or the legislature, which was bestowed on them by the Constitution, from making the law. And they have made the law.
Okay. But the Court of Appeal says, the Court of Appeal says parties should maintain status quo. Okay, who are the parties? Rivers State government
Yes.
against the FIRS.
Yes.
Okay? So the Rivers State government must maintain the status quo. The Rivers State House of Assembly is a part of the Rivers State government.
Okay.
But for Lagos State, which had applied to be joined in the suit, and the application have not been heard, Lagos State cannot.
But did Rivers State House of Assembly, were they joined in the suit?
No, the Rivers State government.
Okay.
You cannot extricate Rivers State as House of Assembly of Rivers State from the Rivers State government.
It is a separate arm of government.
Hold on. The issue is this.
Yes.
The Rivers State government.
Okay.
The House of Assembly in Rivers State is a formation of the Rivers State government.
Okay.
That is it, by law. You are not going to extricate it from the Rivers State government. The Attorney General of the Rivers State may have gone to court, meaning the executive went to court, or in the state. But the judgment The party in that suit is Rivers State government,
okay.
which includes the judiciary of Rivers State, the legislature, and then the executive of Rivers State.
Well, my contention.
But for Lagos had applied to be joined in the suit.
Yes, I know that.
Now, the hearing is going to come on the 16th,
yes,
either to be added or whatever. Between now and the 16th, Lagos State is not included in that order.
You see, why I have a divergent view with my colleague is this.
Okay.
The ruling, the stay of execution ruling by the Court of Appeal says do not exercise what? I don't have the ruling off heart, but
maintain the status quo.
The ruling did not stop the State House of Assembly from making the law. So whether you like it or not, from my own opinion, a law has been made. Now, what he is saying is the execution of the law. I want to believe so.
Yes, to stay.
But not that there's a law on ground which has not been nullified. The law has been passed by the State House of Assembly.
Yeah, that's not in dispute. That's not in dispute.
So it means, as it were today, there is a VAT law in Rivers State that has been duly passed. Now, the collection of the VAT is now what has been stayed for now.
Okay, it's the same thing that we are saying, but what I'm now saying is that now that they are going to stay execution,
yes,
probably till the determination of the suit at the Court of Appeal. Does it mean that the consumers now are not going to pay VAT?
Nobody to collect.
Who will collect?
Nobody to collect.
Okay, if eventually, when the case has been dispensed of at the appellate courts, you won't charge us for the period the court asks you to stay proceed.
The stores and the merchants. Okay. The stores and the merchants can be, because they are empowered to make the deductions. Okay. So within the period, because most of the VAT issue, part of it are automated, like the phone calls we make. It goes automatic. The collection is automated. The transfer, bank transfers you, the VAT, there's VAT on it. Now they are automated. So I don't think the judgment will halt collection. What I think should happen is that collections will be made by the merchant, deductions will be made until this is dispensed with. Then the court will not tell us who exactly should collect, whether the federal FIRS or the state government, because the matter is sub judice.
But interestingly, the issue of the 5% and 7.5% should come as an issue.
Yes, because for if the thing is not in the exclusive list,
who made that law?
See, what is subsisting right now? By the Finance Act 2020. You see, because you are not
quite illegal right now.
Yes, because see, you have not repealed that law. And under law, under our jurisprudence, if a law, however badly passed, the law is, if it has not been repealed, it subsists. You understand? So that is it. But when you look at the larger implication of what's going to happen is that if states eventually get their way, because I think the states don't really understand what they're asking for. Because if you look at it from the analysis that have been done, federal government contributes over 60%
of the VAT.
Because of the federal installations and institutions. The seaport, the airport, international consultancies, and the rest of it. And the federal government is taking 15% today. If the state push through and get this whole through, they are going to get less than what they are getting now. The reason is this. I think that the argument would have been that the 20% sub-sharing formula that, you know, is from derivation, perhaps should be increased. Secondly, the states are not good in tax collection. Look at the personal income tax, look at the other tax on transport and all that. They employ touts to mess the whole thing up. They spoil, my specialty is in tax. So when you talk about collection, the most FIRS have been collecting this for the past 25 years. They understand the model. You understand? So you are going to, the states, if they start to collect, are going to have input output problem. Okay, if I buy goods now in Lagos State, okay, I pay VAT. When I get to Rivers State, when I want to sell, I collect VAT. Okay, now the states are saying 60% in the laws. There are existing laws now because they want to make it attractive. Okay, the federal government is saying 7.5%. So you have a differentials, you have input-output problem. So there are other problems that will come out that will lead to the multiple taxation and the rest of it. And then we know of some states in some places where they get consultants to collect this and they take huge percentage. Okay, some states are being managed by an individual. Yes. Okay, in this country. So at the end of the day, let's wait and see what the court is going to come up with.
Okay, I wanted to ask Barrister James, if eventually, like Barrister was saying, and the state pulls through, what happens to the other states where they don't generate much? Particularly, I know that apart from FCT, apart from Rivers, Lagos, then maybe one other state, about 32 states, how are they going to fare? How?
You see, this question is hydra-headed in terms of politics. Should be looked into. Ordinarily, a state should generate what it spends. Okay. The problem with Nigeria is that politics has covered a lot of it. For instance, there's a seaport in Lagos.
Okay.
I want to believe that the Lagos state government has some shares in that seaport.
I'm sure they do.
Because it's within their jurisdiction. Why is there no seaport that is active in places like Cross River, places like Onitsha, those areas?
Yes.
If those seaports are functional to where it should be, like Lagos, it means that states like Anambra State, the revenue will increase. Delta State will increase tremendously. Cross River will increase. River State will increase. So those things that will make the states survive. Just last year,
all these states that you are calling now, they are from the south. What happens to those in the north?
Okay, let me
answer to this question is federalism.
Thank you. Exactly. Okay. That's what I was going to.
Because
now let me hold on a second. Just last week, I heard the Navy decided to go to Kanda.
Yeah, to build.
To do what?
To have a
that's why I said politics is a problem.
And
there used to be groundnut pyramid at one point. The states should start looking inwards and totally take control of their state. There are a lot of things you can do. Okay, like if you walk past Allen Avenue now, you see that the Lagos State is trying to do ducts, fiber ducts. I am sure by the time they are done, it will increase the state-generated revenue because all these telcos will plug in. So the states need to think inwards to see how they can sell themselves to make more money. If you rely on VAT, for instance, like Wike said, you collect 15 billion and you give me 4 billion. Can we collect? What is the justification?
That's the question was asked.
What is the justification?
Yes,
and it is
social injustice.
What is the justification? I heard Kogi State is appealing, not agreeing with Wike because they rely on these things. What have they done to boost their revenue?
You know why Kogi State will not agree with Wike? Because if you look at withholding tax, for example, when a governor of a state awards contract, there's a withholding tax for which FRS collect 4%. Okay. So in Lagos State and Rivers State, where there is huge contracts and work going on, and then in some other states where the governors are doing nothing,
just collecting
from that 4% that FRS pick from the state that their governors are functionable.
Okay,
the money goes to governors that do
nothing. And the other places.
Because the governor of Gombe was the finance commissioner for some time.
Yes.
Director of finance, commissioner of finance. He was saying that it's not fair.
What is not fair, really?
Yeah, they don't want to lose out.
Governor of Castina.
Sorry.
Yes.
They don't want to lose out because it's free money. No, it's free money.
Enough is enough.
Okay.
If they cannot deliver their state's revenue, they should resign.
That's the truth.
They should resign.
That's it.
And that's the reason why the presidency calls the shot. You see, a governor that is supposed to be independent goes cap in hand begging the president, and so things done in each state is determined by the presidency. It shouldn't be like that, because the truth of the matter is that they rely on the money.
Okay.
So if most of them can get, look, let me tell you something. If you go to Imo State today, there were places or businesses that could have boosted the IGR of this. They used to have a business called Ada Palms.
Okay.
That used to do, they were into palm oil.
Palm oil.
If the governor knows his onion, he should improve that Ada Palms. Invest in it, so that the state IGR will increase. They used to have poultry. Imo State used to have the largest poultry some time back. When Mbakwe was governor, they built that business. But now it's dead. Why is it dead? Why can't they manage it? Why? So when you rely on other people's sweat, the governor, they sell alcohol in River State, they sell alcohol in Lagos State. Just 3 days ago or 4 days ago, I'm sure you heard what happened in Zamfara somewhere, where they seized 4,000
Kano.
and you're expecting, I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. This country, sometimes I think we think upside down.
I think if we go by that, maybe let's just look at what now will now be, maybe briefly, the solution to all this.
It still has to be a political solution.
But the court is going to give the solution.
No, you know, sometimes the court's good solution, but the solution may not hold water.
What the court is giving is not, the court is looking at the law. And then they look at the law and they say, okay, who is supposed to collect by law? Who is supposed to make certain law by the constitution? That's what the court is doing. But the other should show multiple complexity.
Yeah,
the court is not.
Yeah, because what I'm saying is that I hope that eventually it will not fall into multiple taxation, where federal government will be collecting, state too will be collecting.
People will go to court.
And before you know, left to closing again and moving.
Left to me, I would have suggested that the constitution is amended.
Okay.
Allow the federal government to collect. The 20% sub-sharing formula by derivation should increase.
Okay.
And then the state who contribute more should get at least 60% of what they contribute.
And then
when you go that way, you have doubts attention. Because if you see VAT, you cannot have multiple VAT regime in a country. That's chaos. Because don't forget, the chairman of the local government, okay? Because all local government don't generate the same. You cannot compare Apapa local government with Alimosho local government. Alimosho may have higher population but highly residential. Apapa is highly commercial. So more revenue, VAT, will come from Apapa. So can the chairman of the Apapa local government also canvass that perhaps the local government should be given the list to make bylaws to collect it? Okay, I know that our political system is not that strong to grant that, because we don't have local government elections. They run by what we call the state committee and all this secretarial committee and all that. And besides that, even you see, they are under the governors. Even the money, the allocation, federal allocation that comes to local government, the government put it in their pocket. Even the money that comes for the judiciary from the federal government, even after an executive order, the governors are still strong-headed. So we don't have the political system that can deliver. If not, that will make us to develop faster. And ultimately, the fact that we have refused to grant onto ourselves fiscal federalism, we are going there to pick the issues one after the other. Wow. Some states have gone there to pick power. Some now we are going there to pick tax. That list that we have there, we will overheat it at the end of it until we deliver onto ourselves fiscal federalism.
Yes, but I feel it's a right step in the right direction.
Okay.
This is the only way we can improve our laws. We need to challenge it. If you do not challenge laws in the courts, then a lot of people don't know what's going on. In fact, it's only people like him who is a tax consultant and lawyers that understand what is actually going on. A lot of the man on the street doesn't know what's going on. So, but these laws need to be challenged. Since the National Assembly has not agreed to do a new constitution, for instance, then, like you said, we'll be picking it one after the other. Picking all these things one after the other. I remember when FIRS, Federal Road Safety, was working on state roads. Somebody went to court. I said, no, you are Federal Road Safety. You cannot be working on Allen Avenue. As what now? And that's why you see that if you notice now these days,
Yes.
FIRS is not on the local roads,
They are not.
but they used to be.
Yes.
Before you, if you come from Ireland and you just drive, you just see them park, but they're not there again because somebody has gone to court to challenge this thing.
Okay.
So the more we keep doing these things, like you said, the fiscal federalism is staring us at the face because now the courts will start interpreting the law as it were.
Oh, thank you very much. So we hope that the authorities are listening and will try to implement some of these things.